Welcome to Finding Sources for your literature review. Today's presentation, I'll be showing you how to break down the literature search into manageable amounts. The first step is to determine the purpose of your literature review. What question are you trying to answer? What problem are you trying to investigate? Think about what kind of literature do you need? Academic, grey, industry? How many sources do you need? 20, 30, 150? Where are you going to look? University databases, Google Scholar? You need to conduct an extensive search of the literature. How extensive will depend on the requirements of your assignment. Note all bibliographic details of your sources and track your searches as you go. This will help you when it comes to writing up your analysis later. I would recommend that you use the Excel spreadsheet provided called a research tracker. The literature review process can be quite daunting, but it's very similar to what you've already been doing in your assessments. So, the literature review. It consists of an investigation of your research topic or your research problem. It's a process that you've already been following. Step 1, identify the keywords. Okay, so what are the words you're going to use in the databases to find relevant literature? Step 2, you're going to search for existing literature on the topic that you're investigating. You're looking for previous studies, concepts, theories, methods. You're also going to be looking at secondary sources, okay, qualitative, quantitative, imperial, older, conceptual. Once you've got all the literature on the topic, you're going to evaluate your search results for relevancy, quality, and any gaps. Is there consensus in their arguments? Is there disagreements? You're going to document those findings, so taking notes, mind mapping, referencing, and creating citations to avoid plagiarism at the end. You are also, at the very last step, going to integrate your analysis of what is already known about the topic. That is essentially the process of a literature review. The first step is to determine the purpose. So work out what you need to address. Okay, what are you being asked to search? What's the topic? What are you hoping to discover? Check your assignment requirements and the search criteria to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing. A good place to start is to mind map out your problem. What are you looking for in the literature? What is the issue? The example that I'm going to use today is how to retain millennials in a nursing workplace. So something that I'm going to need to look into is defining who and what are millennials. What are their traits, characteristics? What is it about this generation? I may also need to be looking at the perception of millennials at work. What do we already know about millennials in nursing and healthcare? Then I'll probably be looking at the literature to find key workforce issues confronting nursing management and retention of millennials. I also will probably be hoping to find current strategies to address the Generation Y inclusion in the workplace. So values, expectations, strategies. And from there, I'm seeing if there is any gap in what the literature or research is saying, what hasn't been explored yet. Taking the time to draw up a mind map of how you think you're going to answer the question is a good starting point. You will then have a direction and you'll know what you're looking for when you're doing your analysis and your reading. Take the time now to mind map out how you want to conduct your literature review. Remember, this is only a draft, so it may change as you actually conduct your research. Once you've mind mapped out how you think your literature review will go and what you're looking for, it's time to think about the keywords that you're going to use in the databases. So for my question, my keywords would be millennials, nursing, and retention. Now, not everyone will refer to millennials as millennials. They're also known as Generation Y, the Net Gen, or the Digital Native. So think about some alternative keywords at the same time. Nursing is also known in the broader sense of healthcare or hospital personnel or staff. I can also use the truncation symbol, so nurse, and after the S, put an asterisk. So at the same time, I'm looking for nurse, nurses, and nursing. Retention is also known as talent management, job satisfaction, workplace, work values, work ethic, career, and burnout. There are many more alternative keywords that you can think of, and you'll come across some as you do your research. Always a good idea to note them down. Take the time now to identify the keywords for your literature review. Now it's time to think about the kind of literature that you need for your assignment. How many sources do you need? Where are you going to look? Most appropriately, academic peer-reviewed journal articles is where most people start. Depending on your assignment requirements, you may need to also consult industry sources. But students generally use books, journal articles, reports, government documents, referencing material, conference proceedings, web sources, and so forth. If you are unsure, always best to check with your lecturer. The number of sources that you'll need for your literature review will depend on the assignment requirements. You will need to search university databases such as Scopus, Web of Science, ProQuest, Google, and Google Scholar. You need to conduct an extensive search of the literature. So we're going to start with university databases such as Scopus and Web of Science, as they are research focused. If you're studying business, you might also like to add databases like ProQuest and Business Source Complete. I like these databases because they already have literature reviews that may have been already written about your topic, and that is a great starting point. And they also contain academic peer-reviewed journal articles. Once you've explored the university databases, it's a good idea to then maybe have a look at Google Scholar using the advanced search function to locate relevant academic journal articles. And also, if you're required to use industry reports and government publications, do an advanced search in Google or Google Scholar. It's important to note the bibliographic details of your sources. You need to keep the details of the title, the date, authors' names, page numbers, and publishing details. These details will be save you a lot of time later. I would recommend that you use what's known as an Excel spreadsheet called Research Tracker. It will help keep track of your research. You will need to conduct a number of searches and repeat them exactly across all databases. So first look for literature reviews that have already been done on your topic. They are a great starting point. Then look for academic journal articles. You might want to limit this to the last 4 or 5 years to get the latest information. If you don't get many results on your topic, consider expanding your search. With permission from your lecturer, you may be required to go to industry sources, but seek permission first. The keyword searches and results should be noted down. You should be able to answer how many journal articles are on the topic, how many abstracts you read or scanned, and how many full-text journal articles or reports did you save. Making notes of your findings. Identify key themes and key findings from the literature. What are the problems? What are the issues? What are the strategies that they are recommending? This can all be tracked in the Research Tracker. Here is an example of the Research Tracker. It is an Excel spreadsheet that helps you track your keyword combinations and the databases that you have used, as well as your analysis. You'll see at the bottom that there are a number of pages. These pages will depend on how many topics that you are searching at once. Always best to start with the university research databases. So Web of Science and Scopus are the two that I'm going to demonstrate today. They both allow you to search for literature reviews that have already been written on the topic, which can form the basis of your literature review. Web of Science is known as one of our leading citation index for scholarly literature, and Scopus is a large multidisciplinary database covering a lot of published materials. They are great databases to start your literature review for. How to access these databases. From the library homepage, we click on A to Z Databases and W for Web of Science Core Collection. Log in with your username and password. Here we enter those keywords that we identified in our search strategy, so millennials or Generation Y, and both have to be connected to nursing. So at this one search, I'm looking for millennials and nursing, Generation Y and nursing all at the same time. Let's run the search. As we complete this search, I also add the search string into my research tracker Excel spreadsheet. So I click on Web of Science down below. Here it tells me which database I'm using, and I enter the search string or the keyword combination that I used. So millennials or Generation Y and nursing. Here you add any limitations that you're using. So whether that's years, if you're limiting it to literature reviews already written on your topic, or academic journal articles. You then take note of the number of results that you get. From there, you take note of the number of abstracts you scan. And then, from the number of abstracts that you scan, you might only find a few that you actually want to save that are really relevant. So you note the number of full-text PDFs that you save down to read later. The search results show that we have over 1,400 sources dealing with this topic. The first thing I would recommend is that you sort by relevance. So the more times your keywords appear, the higher up the list they'll go. The best place to start is to see where there is any literature reviews written on your topic. So on the left-hand side, under document type, review is literature reviews that have been written on your topic. As you can see, there's 21 that have been written about millennials or Generation Y and nursing. Let's refine the results. With the 21 results, it's a good idea to scan all 21, look at the abstracts and determine whether they are relevant. I like the look of number 8, so let's click on the title. I'm also going to add the numbers to my search tracker. So, under millennials or Generation Y and nursing, the limitations I've put is review, being a literature review, and the number of results were 21. A way to build up your research quickly is to look at the citation network on the right-hand side. What this is telling me is that 6 other people have used this journal article in their research more recently. And these journal articles you can also use in your literature review. So it's a way to build up that research quickly. This database also provides links to the 119 journal articles or references used in this current journal article as well. Again, you can go through and browse those and pick out any relevant literature that you could use for your research. Let's explore these options. So the 6 citing articles, I can quickly browse them. Also, the 119 cited references from the reference list of the original journal article. I can quickly browse them and decide if any of them are useful. A quick way to determine this is to 1. Look at the title Does it answer your assignment question or your literature review question or problem? And also view the abstract. Remember, the abstract is a summary of the article, and if the abstract isn't relevant, you can move on to the next one and make another assessment. Back to the original article that we liked the look of. Read the abstract, determine if it's relevant. If it is, we go and find the full text. Now, this database will either take us to a database that does hold the full text or a place where you can request a copy. This time it's taken us to a database that holds the full text. Again, use the right-hand side to see related items. Also could be useful for your literature review. Read the abstract, look at the alternative keywords that you might not have thought of, okay? You might use them later on in your search strategy. Also, use the cite button at the top to grab the citation, because you're going to use this in the rest of your research tracker later on. Download the full text and print it off and read the journal article. The research tracker also has a tab of where you can keep track of your analysis. Down the bottom, I've labelled mine Millennials in the Workplace. Here, I've identified the citation, okay? You need this for your reference list. Adjust it to how it needs to be, whether it's UOW Harvard or another referencing style. As I go along and read the journal article, I will have 5 coloured highlighters. Definitions will be highlighted in yellow as a way to keep track and easily pull them out to enter them into my spreadsheet. Any arguments for recommendations of a solution, I highlight in green. Any problems or gaps in the literature or the need, I highlight in pink or red. Any major themes that are discussed in the literature, I will highlight in blue as I read them. And any key points that are mentioned about the generation, I highlight in orange. Now, these headings can change. They are only a suggestion to help me with my analysis when I write it up later. You can change them to whatever you need them to be. But this way, you have all your analysis in one space. So when it comes to writing up about definitions, they're all there in one column. When it comes to talking about the solutions identified in the literature, again, it's all there in one column. The same with the gap and the themes that have been identified. It makes writing up your analysis a lot easier, and you can also see how you're progressing through your literature review. So once you've analysed those 21 literature reviews and determined how many you like the look of, we go back and look for normal journal articles written about your topic. Before we do that, we make sure that we enter the details of our search into our research tracker for the Web of Science. So here we've got 21 literature reviews. I scanned 21 abstracts, but I only ended up saving 4 to read the full text later. So once we've looked at literature reviews on the topic, we go back and we adjust our search to now look for academic journal articles written from 2015 to now. I want to find out what the latest literature is saying about this problem and how are they addressing it. So I keep the keywords the same, millennials or Generation Y and nursing. I'm changing the time span to the last 5 years. I'm making sure that I update my search in my tracker. So millennials or Generation Y and nursing. In the limitations, I'm saying from 2015 to now and academic journal articles only. When we look at our results, the time frame has already been added, so we get just over 1,000. First thing I'm going to do is sort by relevance. So the more times our keywords appear in our journal articles, the higher up the list they will go. On the left-hand side, under document type, I want to limit my sources to articles only. So I'm going to tick that box and refine. This takes us down to just over 800 results. So what we are going to do is we are going to scan the titles and view the abstracts of the first few pages. Remember, we've sorted by relevance. So when you start to get to really non-relevant journal articles, you stop looking. At the moment, I like the look of number 2. So I'm going to click on the title and be taken to the abstract. Like we did before, we can see that in the citation network on the right-hand side, there are 7 other sources have used this journal article in their research that could be relevant. So we would probably have a quick look at those and determine if any of them can be useful for our literature review. When I quickly scan the titles and view the abstract, I can see that 2, 3, 4, and 5 would probably be relevant. So I would probably save the full text and the citation and add it to my Excel spreadsheet. Once I looked at the cited network, I would then go and see the 18 references that are available through this journal article. And I would scan them and see if they would be relevant for our literature review. Have a quick look at the title and the abstract and determine if they will be useful. Cherry pick the ones that you like the look of. Once you've viewed the cited articles and the references from the reference list, what we want to do is now find the full text. So up in the top corner, on the left-hand side, we click Find Full Text. Now what it's telling me is that we don't have direct access to this journal article. So there are 2 options that we're probably going to use. We're going to first check Google Scholar, and if it's not available in Google Scholar, we request the journal article through our library, which is free of charge. Let's first check Google Scholar. Google Scholar has given us access to the article. Okay, I would now download it and using my highlighters, highlight definitions in yellow, arguments or recommendations for solutions in green, the gap of the problem or the gap in the literature would be in pink, themes would be highlighted in blue, and any key points about the generation would be highlighted in orange. So once you've read the article, you need to add the analysis to the spreadsheet. This includes the citation, if you have any definitions, any arguments, recommendations or solutions, identified any of the key problems, themes and key points about your topic area. This way you are keeping track of your analysis, so when it comes time to writing your literature review, you have all your definitions in one place, all your recommendations or solutions to the problem, what the problem is, key themes and key points from the literature. Also remember to update the search string. So we had 867 academic journal articles from 2015 onwards. I scanned 120. I stopped at 120 because it was starting to get irrelevant. And of those 120 abstracts and titles that I scanned, I saved 22 journal articles to read for the full text. Remember, if you don't get enough search results, you can always expand your search. So either eliminating the date range or trying a different keyword combination. So once you have run one keyword combination, try a new combination. So this time I'm changing nursing to healthcare. Healthcare is in double inverted commas as it is a phrase, and I need both words to appear next to each other in order to get the most relevant results. So I still have millennials and Generation Y and healthcare. When I run that search, I get over 1,000 results. Again, like before, we sort by relevance. And then under document types, I'm limiting it to literature reviews that have been written on the topic, and this database refers to them as a review. So let's tick that box. We go down to the 24 results, scan the abstracts and the titles, determine if they're relevant, and download the full text for your analysis. Once you've completed that search, we update our spreadsheet as we go. So this time it's millennials or Generation Y and healthcare. I've limited it to literature reviews, and I've said that we had 24 results. Once you've explored the literature reviews, go back and look at the journal articles that have been written on your topic. So this time, when we go to the original search results, instead of clicking reviews, I click journal articles. We go down to just over 1,000 results. I would scan the titles, sort by relevance, read the abstracts, and determine which ones are the most relevant. Once I start to get to irrelevant journal articles in the list, I stop my search result. So once you've completed all the combinations of your keywords in Web of Science, we then go and repeat the exact same searches and the exact same number of searches with the exact same limitations in another database. My next recommended database is Scopus. So to access this database, we go to the library homepage. Again, click A to Z databases, S for Scopus. From the list, you will see the database. Click on the title, enter your username and password, and we are about to conduct a basic search. So we start with the first search that we completed in Web of Science, but this time we're going to do it in Scopus. So our keywords are still millennials. Add the plus symbol to add another keyword. We're changing it to or, Generation Y, and nursing. Let's run this search and look at the results. As we can see from the results, we just get over 100. So what we want to do is the same thing that we did in Web of Science. We first want to explore literature reviews on the topic. So on the left-hand side, under document type, we click on review. That takes us down to 19 results. We would then scan the titles and abstracts and identify any relevant literature reviews that have been written on the topic. I currently like the look of number 4, so I'm going to click on the title to access the journal article information. So just as we did in Web of Science, we look at the cited documents on the right-hand side. We also look at the related documents. This will help build our research up really quickly. We then want to have a look at the full text to download and grab the citation information for our Excel spreadsheet. Here it has taken us to the option to download the PDF. It's also given us some additional keywords we might not have thought of, and it's given us access to the full bibliographic detail that we need for our reference list. I'm going to make sure that I update my spreadsheet to show that I've searched in the new database, which is Scopus. And here, the first search, like it was in Web of Science, was millennials or Generation Y, and nursing. Limitations was a literature review, we received 19 results. I scanned 19 abstracts, of which I only saved 5. As I read through those 5 full text, I add them to the Excel spreadsheet dealing with millennials in the workplace. I add the citation, any definitions that I find, any recommended solutions, any gaps in the literature or how the current problem is being discussed, if there's any themes, and any key points from that journal article. So now that we've explored the literature reviews on the topic in Scopus, we now go back and look for the latest journal articles to update the literature. So on the original 176 results, under document type, this time we click article. We go down to 140 results. On the right hand side, we click sort by relevance. So the more times our keywords appear, which are millennials, Generation Y, and nursing, the higher up the list they will go. We make sure that we update the research tracker on the spreadsheet for Scopus. So the second search is millennials or Generation Y and nursing, and the limitations are academic journal articles between 2005 to current. We say that we had 141 results. Of those, I would have scanned about 90, and in the end, I saved 16. Once I'd analysed them, I would then add them to my Excel spreadsheet, again, putting in the citation, the definitions, and any of the additional findings from the literature. Once you've analysed those articles, you continue with the next keyword combination in your list. So we're looking for millennials or Generation Y and healthcare. We run the search. Now we get 152 results. We need to explore the results for both reviews, being literature reviews and journal articles. So first we would explore the 15 literature reviews, and then we would go back and explore the 103 journal articles. We would determine what was relevant based off the title and the abstract. Once we'd run those searches, we would then add the results to our Excel spreadsheet in our research tracker. So literature reviews being 15, we scanned 15 abstracts and we only ended up saving 2. From the journal articles, we had 103. I scanned 103 journal articles but only saved 13. I would then go to the tab on the topic in my Excel spreadsheet and add the citation, any definitions I found, any recommendation solutions, any problems, any themes, or any key points identified in the literature. Hopefully this presentation will help get you started on your literature review. Once you've finished your searches and completed your analysis, it's time to start writing. The number of searches, keyword combinations, databases you view, articles you analyse is up to you and your assessment requirements. If you do need any assistance, please contact your local librarian.